जी सर होगी सर.
Challenge. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Actually, our today's session is related to run the post payroll processes, which we already started from our previous session, and we already completed the payroll and prepayment. Let us go through with the prepayment again. Let us check first of all that do we have run a complete payroll for the whole month in the month of you can say April,
Okay.
and then we will check that for 2021. In action type, we want to see the payroll run. So we will select run basically, and we will click on find. So based on this, we can see that is there any payroll is run for the month of April. So far there is no payroll run for the month of April, because last time we run the payroll and we did the rollback as well.
Yes.
Okay, so what we will do now, we will run the payroll again. So the step is we have to click on view, we have to click on request, submit a new request, and we will select here payroll process, the payroll run. So once we select the payroll run in the parameters, basically these are the parameters which we have to fill based on our requirement. We have to run the payroll for the month of monthly payroll, rest consolidation set comes automatically, and the period automatically comes based on the system date, because we are in the month of April. That's why April comes automatically. For example, let me close the screen. I just want to clear the concepts of for you to related to an date scenario. For example, we are in the month of 1st June 2021, for example. Okay. And now I want to run the month of payroll for the month of April.
Okay.
Okay. So what will happen once I will select the month of the period in the parameter in the payroll run. Actually, you see,
month 30th June.
that is basically you will get based on the system date as well, and as well if you have changed any date and you are working on the future month, based on that the system automatically picks that period automatically. Okay, so you have to be make sure, and whenever you are doing this kind of process, you have to be make sure that this is date things where we can change the date and we can run the based on our the month which we want to run.
Okay.
Even it's showing 6, even it's showing 6, you can change it, but you have to be make sure that you are in the right date.
Okay.
So once I select the payroll run, again monthly, click tab, and my fourth payroll calendar 2021 payroll selected. Pay period, basically this is the period, and you know that this is the period which created when we create the payroll. Remember in the description. So this is the same period which is coming from there. And based on that, once we click on this payroll process, once now the payroll will complete it, once it's started and once it's completed, then we will run the next step inshallah today, which is related to the prepayment.
Okay.
And we will discuss about the prepayment process. Let us click on refresh data. Payroll worker process option. Why this option is appearing? Because when basically when we are running the payroll now, what is happening basically, the system make the whole payroll in chunks, in chunk sizes. Means,
Okay.
for example, if we have 80 employees, we have 40 employees, or we have, for example, 4,000 employees. So we do some indexing basically for the payroll, and do some scheduling on the payroll. And based on that, what we will do, we want to uh, means, you can say, we want to sort the payroll in a different chunks. For example, we have 100 employees in a whole payroll. Once we do this setup, based on that, the 100 employees will be divided into 5. Means 20 chunk, 20 employee, 20 employee become a chunk of a size of a payroll, and based on that, the processing will become much faster if we do this kind of process. Now, for example, I want to show you view log, and here you can see this chunk size. See the point which I'm talking about, and the threads were 4. So that's why the four payroll worker processes, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, that was basically the threads, and based on the different threads, we have 2 chunk size. So that based on that, it will be it run much faster than the normal payroll. So that is one of the things which you basically get an idea. So let me, if I will now select 2021, I can select the period from here, 2021, and I click on find button. So in this month of April, we have 1 quick pay and 1 payroll run. From here, you can see the status. So assignment process, you can see the detail. So now our next step. Now, for example, we run the payroll team and HR team reconcile the data basically. The payroll mostly depend on the organization hierarchy structure, how they are doing the payroll, and which department is basically running the payroll, and who is reconciling it. It's all depends on internal policy and their internal structure. Based on that, for example, HR team reconcile the payroll. Now HR team will run the prepayment. So the same step, once that everything is finalized, report is reconciled, we run the report, for example, and it's reconciled, our payroll is okay also. Now our second step is we have to run the prepayment. The prepayment process, once we select this process, which is the standard process, again, we will select the same monthly payroll, which is our month payroll. We have to select first APR, because we run the payroll for the month of, you can say, April. The start date and end date is basically, we are picking the whole period.
Okay, 30th.
Whole month. As I told you, we are picking the whole month, and so in the whole month, with every employee who has the payment method will process. So the payment method override, we already discussed it in a previous session. Yes. So I'm not going into that. I want to run the prepayment method with for those employees who have the direct deposit payment method, which we, for example, we already attached. So I will show you, for example, with whom the pay method is attached and with whom the payment method is not attached. Once we run the prepayment method, based on that, once it completed, we can get an idea that is there any error or is there incompleted. Based on that, once it's completed, then I will show. And based on that, for example, once we run the prepayment and we come into the process results, there we will see that here you can see the status. You see, it is still in processing mode. Okay. So we already run it, but it is in processing mode. So once it will complete it. It will complete, then I will tell you more detail about it.
Okay.
Okay. So now it's completed. But here it's incomplete. That's good. So here now you can see the status incomplete because surely the peoples who have the payment method not, you can say, attached. For few of the employees, there may be the payment method was not attached. And sometimes the person who have not attached the payment method as well give an error. So you can see here the employees 70 have some issue. So let us resolve this issue and then I will show you. The total we have 75 employees. You can see the record in this assignment. So for example, if I click on the complete one, payment method, you can see this is the payment method, which is attached as a check, which is attached as a check. You can see here, by default, the check payment method is attached. Now I will tell you about this. Let me go into the error stage as well. So if there is any incomplete status in the main status is incomplete, means there is some error. So I click F11 here. I will write down error on the status and I click Control F11. So the error employees will automatically appear. I don't, for example, we have 1,000 employees and we want to find out, we cannot scroll down it. We have to just squeeze our, you can say, the queries section. So we can get an idea what is basically the error. So we will click on message. Here it will say the payment cannot be fully paid when the monetary units available. So let us check what is the issue with this employee. So we will go into the employee record.
Okay.
Number one thing. And from there we will see that what is the issue with this employee. So once click on payment method directly. I don't want to go into the system from and maintenance. See, because this employee have the payment method is cash. And secondly, the payment method is attached from 11 April,
Yes.
which is wrong. And let me see who did this thing. How, based on that, we can get an idea that Mr. Sham Abbasi did this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me delete this payment method.
Okay.
I want to purge it first, save the record, and let us come into the first
April.
APR 2021.
Okay.
2021. And now let me select direct. And let me select priority 1. Let me select the percentage 100. And then also let me select the bank name as well. Let me select this one. You know, we already created this. And I already described you the whole, because this is the, you can say the bank, not bank, you can say the payment method, bank detail key flex field. Okay. This is basically the bank detail key flex field, which is basically going to attach with the
Payroll.
Payment method, with the payment method. Okay. Write down any dummy number. Write down here AE, IBAN number, and let us click OK. Okay. Save. Now, once this is saved, And let me go into the payroll run results. Now again, let me select monthly. Let me select for 2021. For 2021. Let me click find. It's incomplete. Now let me retry, because what we have to do, we have to retry.
We try. Okay.
Here again the same thing. As you saw, when in their payroll run there is any issue, we correct the employee record and we retry the payroll for that specific employee. We can roll back the whole prepayment process and we can rerun the payment method again. But here again, I'm going to show you how you can retry the individual employee record, which gets an error, and then we will also roll back the whole payroll and we can same process. You can see I click on this check, mark or retry completed action attempt was marked to retry either rollback. Okay, so payment method, I think it need to be retried, but let us roll back it. Sometimes this kind of issues raised, but let us roll back the whole payment method. Roll back. I want to roll back. I want to roll back my prepayment method. Here it will show the same. Okay, the which we run recently in 2021. Basically, the year is also there. So in April 2021, this is the prepayment method which process. That's why it's appear automatically once, one only. Okay. So let us see. First, we are now what is happening? We are rollbacking the whole prepayment method, and there is no such kind of effect on this, because this is these are the standard functionality. Then these are the you can say accurate way to roll back, and then we can run it again. Okay. These are the standard and normal exercise and functionalities which we have to train to the business users as well, and we ourselves also do this the same thing, because based on that, sometimes if you do delete the record from that process and then you want to run it individually, sometimes there will be issue in the database side, because all the requests, all these things are being generated in the you can say the database. Okay. Sometimes the record become lock, sometimes this kind of things happen. So avoid those kind of things, we have to go through with the proper channel. You can say the proper navigation. Number first of all, APR now again 2021, and let me just change this date 30. Into 30. Let me click OK, submit, no, and refresh it. So prepayment method basically was, this is basically the process where basically the total net amount will appear. Okay, so once that net amount will appear, based on that it will mention that now this amount need to be paid into this account number. So we have to create some custom reports in which based on the different employees requirement, and they can see that under which department how many employees. Okay, and under this department we have, for example, 20 employees. Those 20 employees individual net amount will appear, and the bank account number, which basically forwarded to, you can say, run by the finance team as well. Okay, and based on that they send the same report to the bank and they do some transaction. Now you see our process has been completed. So as you see, we run the prepayment process. We saw an error. We resolved that error. We rolled back that whole prepayment process, and based on that, we run that prepayment process again. Again, once you go in detail, you can see the amount of that employee and the status unpaid and direct deposit. So these are the status. Basically, once it's paid, the status will be showed as a paid.
Okay.
That is the whole process automatically being generated. Now, for example, I have some bank detail reports with me, but I will show you in different mode. Okay, so because those are some confidential data in that, but you will get an idea of so what kind of reports you can see and generate. Now, for example, our prepayment process is completed. Okay, and now we want to run the costing process. So this is the basically hierarchy. First, you have to run the payroll, then you have to run the prepayment, then you have to, once you run the payroll prepayment, then you have to run the costing. Okay. And based on the costing and based on your dates, you have to run the payslip as well. And you can see the payslips for the employees. So let us see the payslips of functionality in employee self-service. Maybe any employee have some payslip as well. So if it is already been created, we can see that as well. But let me first run the costing process as for you as well. So you can see all the post payroll processes. So all the post payroll processes are the standard processes which we have basically need to run. So now we are going to run the costing, the same, and the costing is for the same payroll. And we are running the costing for the first APR 2021. This date you are looking here right now, one. Why? Because the system here we already changed the date of on first. That's why it is showing first. But we can do the you can say the costing on the date selected by our own.
Okay.
So now once we click OK, submit same means we have to just submit the process. But before that, we have to be make sure that the setup which is need to be done has to be corrected, and all the elements must be costed. Okay, so I don't think so there is any costed elements is costed. I will show you that as well, where we have to do that thing in the element link screen. In the element link screen, you remember that once we create the element, we create the element links. Yeah. So based on that, we have to link all the elements based on their costing. And here we have to basically set the costing.
Okay.
We have to cost it here. Based on that, it has to be link. Currently, this element is not costed. For example, if I want to cost it, what I will do, for example, let me first change this date and make it 1. And now I will click on the costed now. It will show me correction. And based on that, this segment need to be filled. This segment need to be filled. Currently, there is cost allocation segment is there, but there is no value set or no information is linked. And where it need to be linked, it need to be linked in the cost allocation key flex field.
Okay.
That is the whole setup which I told you last time, that it need to be corrected. It need to be set from the finance side, because we need to be pick all the information from the finance accounting flex field.
Okay.
So let us see 2021 for 2021. Pick 1. This process is also completed. Let me show you here. Costed, for example, costing. Here we have to select the date because the costing. Let's actually there was no element, na, which we have linked.
Yeah.
That's why it is not showing anything here. So in any other session, what we will do, I will do add the costing into that costing key flex field, and then I will again we will run this process again. Okay, and
Okay,
based
sir.
on that, your whole cycle will be complete.
Okay.
So now, for example, let me show you the last process of the payroll. So at least our pay post payroll processes must be completed, and you at least get complete idea that what is the priority. You can see run, payroll run, prepayment, prepayment type, and the costing. And
Costing.
now, for example, costing is also run, costing is also completed, everything is finalized. We run this costing. After the costing, we run this one standard report is there basically, which almost fulfill the requirement of our client. But sometimes we can run that costing detail report, costing breakdown report, or costing report for costing run. These kind of run we can run, and based on that we can you can say uh, see the output. For example, if I run this report, this is basically a report which we
Okay.
can run, and there are other reports as well, which you can see once we selected the costing information, we can, it will also not show us any information. It will not show because, as I mentioned, there is no element which is costed so
Okay.
far. So every element, every allowance which we created and attached with the employee, we have to cost them. So based on that, and every employee is basically, it is attached with the department, and department is linked with the organization, and it is linked with the legal entity. Based on that, every thing has to be linked, and based on that, every employee has to be charged, and based on that, it will mention that which employee will get how much salary, and
Okay.
which department will get how much expense, because this is the main thing, na, for the organizations.
Yes,
So
sir.
that is basically the whole thing. uh, I hope you already get a clear picture
Yes, sir.
about that. You can say, but at least today we've just finalized these processes,
Mm.
and then inshallah we will try in another session to complete this costing. We will do. We just have to add the costing key flex field. Need to add one or two segments there, and then once it's complete, I will show you into this processor. We will click on view output. See, it will, yeah, PDF one. We'll click open. Okay, allow. You don't have a PDF?
Sir, a PDF is not available. I think so.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So that's why it is almost. Anyhow, it shows in this page. So that is basically the breakdown. It's showing the main template, and in the bottom, basically, it shows the detail.
Okay.
See, account,
On debit
for
amount.
example, those account, debit and credit, and what is the accrual type. So these are basically the detail link which is related to the finance team.
Okay.
So this is these kind of reports we can run. The last step process is basically is the transfer to
Okay.
GL. The transfer to GL is also the same process. You can see here, we have to just write down here transfer.
Mm.
Sorry. Yeah, transfer to
To
GL.
Okay.
Okay, transfer to GL. As you see, almost all those post payroll processes have same parameters. Okay,
Mm.
and but at least you get an idea that these are the processes which need to be processed every month for the organization whenever they are running the payroll, and based on that they have to basically sorry, they have to run the, you can say, the process to hit that amount. Now for example, now costing is also completed, all the employees is costed and everything, debit credit is clear, and once that finance will give the go ahead, they have to run the transfer to GL process. And once they run this, based on that, all the costing information in the costing table
Mm.
will go into the GL tables,
Okay.
general ledger. That is the basically interconnectivity of the payroll and the general ledger
Okay.
financial application. And that information need to be appear in one of the you can say the responsibility, which is, you can say, can be seen into the that function. I will try my let me try my level best to show you that screen as well. Monthly, go to 21. Go to 21. Let me click find. You see the assignment process completed. It's showing completed because it already been no information over here, so that's why it's by default it's completed. Okay, so once it's completed, now from the payroll part, all those processes based on a monthly thing, it processed. Okay, and now I will let me do quickly one step
Okay.
to add that responsibility. And hope to get that. Uh, payments.
Payable manager.
Let us see. I'm going to want to see that payable based on that UE legislation, no? Because it
Okay.
will need to be appear definitely in that legislation.
Mm.
Here you can see Korea, all other things,
Mm.
even Vision Belgium, France, all. But our Vision UAE maybe need to be there. Let us see it is there or not. UAE is, I don't think so. It is because it's not coming into uh, to search. It is not coming into the search,
Mm.
means it is not there. So let us try from uh, tables manager. Let us try from that responsibility. Let us try. Maybe it
Hmm.
will show some information. At least I can give you an idea. So once we go into the payable responsibility, we have to come into the payments
Okay.
entry. Invoice. Let me come. Sorry, maybe I am in. Let me. Once we now click on general ledger, I hope that that responsibility and functionality is there. Yeah, general, import,
Okay.
and run. From here, basically under the general report run, we can select our source. For example, so far there is no, we have to select payables basically, source,
Hmm.
and we have to select the ledger. So as you know, when we define the payroll, we didn't select any ledger over there in the payroll description screen.
Okay.
uh, I will go there and I will show you. But this is basically the screen from the finance side. When our payroll is completed and transferred to GL process is basically run, then the team of, you can say, the finance side, they come into the general ledger responsibility, they come into the general menu, and they have to
Hmm.
import that payroll from
Run.
there.
Okay.
They have to select the source of payroll.
Okay.
Let me select here. Yeah, this one, payroll. And based on that, they basically, what they have to do here, they have to select the ledger, and based on that, whatever the, you can say here, for example, I click here. Again, let me close this one. Let me click F11. Not query like it has to be like that. Payroll. So see, payroll comes, as you see, the source is coming now.
Yes, sir.
Based on that payroll, and if any ledger is attached with the payroll, then it will be appear here, which is not attached so far. in when we created the payroll, let me take you back so you get inshallah complete idea. See, once we created the payroll, na,
Hmm.
here monthly. Not this screen. That was payment method. Sorry. We have to select the payroll here. Monthly. And based on that, you can see here this general ledger tab.
Yes, sir.
We didn't attach any, you can say the what you called it, this one, general, this one, ledger. Here we didn't attach any ledger.
Okay.
That's why it was not processed and that's why it was not coming there. Because first we have to select the ledger, correct ledger based on the business group. Na? So
Okay.
we cannot attach any ledger. That's why I didn't attach that ledger and based on that. And second thing, GL flex field map, that also need to be mapped based on the payroll. For example, here, this is the screen here. Basically, we have to attach the costing because this is the screen where we have to attach the costing as well.
Costing and GL.
For costing allocation, see payroll costing, flex field segments, and chart of accounts.
Chart.
These are basically interlinked. So these are basically those steps which we have to perform. And once that will be created, based on that, automatically our information will be moved into
Okay.
into that ledger. So far there is no ledger is created for Vision UAE. You can see here.
Yes, sir.
That's where we don't want to select. But this is basically the mapping. You can see this is payroll costing and this is accounting. So simple, this screen need to be mapped first, and then it will automatically, all the costing information will move into the costing side. And once we will run the general ledger, based on that, it will move into the, once we run the transfer to GL process, it will move everything into the GL side, which you can see the whole cycle that you go into the general ledger and you click on the general menu, and from import screen, basically once they click on import, all the information will be created into general tables.
Okay.
That is the whole post payroll process. And inshallah, we will now try our level best to do 1, 2, 3 more things related to payroll, which is only theoretical part. I will give you an idea about what is the retro process.
Okay.
I will give you an idea about the badge element process. Okay, so that 1, 2 processes are left, which is related to the payroll, but it's related to the pre-post payroll.
Okay, sir.
Right. So once we will complete that, inshallah, our payroll will be complete.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है ना?
जबरदस्त.
चलो, thank कल इंशाल्लाह फिर we will do in the next class इंशाल्लाह.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है?
Sir,
चलो.